Mic check 1 2. Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to episode 142 of This is the G podcast. Yeah. Yes. What's up, y'all? I know it's a Sunday, NFL preseason. I know y'all don't want to be here, but thank you so much. I appreciate it. We got a full house. You know, Vi is here, Harold Michael Harvey, the one and only Syracuse Mike is here. Very happy to have him in the building. I must be careful because he may never come back again. But thank you so much, Mike, man. I appreciate you for taking the time. And,
you're more than welcome.
As always, thank you so much. We call him Syracuse Mike, but if you're an Atlanta native, or, you know, even if you're not a native, but you grew up in the 80s, 90s, you know the name Mike Roberts. And Mike is now a station owner. Mike and I worked together. Late 80s, Mike, 90s.
Yeah.
I started with you on the morning show. With you and Mike and Carolyn, 89. I left to go to another city in 94. But when did you finish up your radio bout before you went into ownership? When did you do that?
Well, actually, it overlapped because I bought the radio stations in Macon a year before I left V103. At least a year before I left V103. So it overlapped. I'm thinking it was 98. I would literally have to look it up. You know.
And you really, Mike. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just thinking I could always run in the closet and pull up and article state exactly.
No. That's all right. That's all right. Don't do it. I knew you were about to say something like that, but Mike and I really. When I say. I wouldn't be still doing this 30 years later without Mike Roberts. You know, I really mean that. And that's the truth because, you know, when I started in the industry, I was fortunate enough to be given an opportunity to intern at the station at V in Atlanta and then went on to work with Mike on the morning show, which was just, you know, mind-blowing experience. And then took over doing music up until 94. And you know, I tell people to this day, we talk about the 90s, and the 90s was really such an incredible time for music. And we're going to get into that at the end of the show because we're going to talk about what Puffy said about R&B. But I do want to talk about that a little bit, Mike, and we'll bring all that experience in when we talk about the Puffy thing toward the end of the show. But man, thank you so much. And you know, when you listen to the show every week, we call him Syracuse Mike. I asked you this before when you were on the show. You get any feedback from us calling you Syracuse Mike on the show?
Yeah, a little. You know, I have. A lot of people don't understand or don't know that I went to Syracuse University and that's where it came from. But yeah, I do hear about it occasionally. You know.
And Mike is, of course, inducted into the Syracuse Hall of Fame. Radio Hall of Fame.
Well, it's actually, it's the radio station WJPZ, which was actually a unique radio station in itself because we were the only one of two top 40 stations that was run by a college. Everybody else was doing the NPR kind of stuff, and we were actually doing top 40 radio, playing the hits. And the idea was to prepare everybody for real life and broadcasting, and it worked.
Excellent. And also, Mike is definitely inducted into the Georgia Radio Hall of Fame. Definitely, you know, it's well-deserved for everything you did for Atlanta radio.
I appreciate you saying that. I don't know if I agree with that, but I appreciate you saying that.
Oh, come on, man. Come on, man.
I'm
Here we
sorry.
go. You know, I knew this was. Come on, Mike. Come on. Come on. Come on.
But
Appreciate
thank
you
you.
being here, though, Mike. Appreciate you being here. And Harold
Sure.
Michael Harvey's in the building. Y'all give it up for the one and only Harold Michael Harvey. Thank you so much. Go to haroldmichaelharvey.com. Everything Harold Michael Harvey. And there's so much going on. And I gave you, did you hear me give you your flowers and bow down to your wisdom regarding Merrick Garland a few weeks ago? Did you hear that?
I did. Thank you.
So, because you said, you know, when in all my skepticism, you know, you said, hey, man, you need to be patient. A good prosecutor, you know, is working. He doesn't put everything out every week, every time he finds something. And even though, you know, I'm kind of, you know, I'm slighted and stung by the Mueller report still to this day. It's kind of, for me and for a lot of people, it's like wait and see. So, you know, hopefully we'll see it. I'm going to ask you about that after the news. Okay. Thank you so much for being here again. HaroldMichaelHarvey.com. And without a doubt, my brother from another mother is here. Y'all give it up for the one and only Vi. Vi, thank you so much, man, for being on the show today. And Vi is, and Mike has a radio station in Forsyth, Georgia, Magic 100. You have family in Macon and Forsyth, Vi. So definitely make sure that they listen. If they, I know they
Please.
already listen.
Please. Please.
That's my hometown. Please.
You did the James Brown. Please.
We even do the weather for Forsyth, okay? So please.
So you need to let your family and friends know, Vi, that they do, and they know. I mean, but you know, it doesn't hurt when it comes from Vi, the one and only, the pride of Married Persons High School. He is excited because it's preseason. The Falcons are on Monday Night Football. Can you believe it? Got to give it up. Yes, you didn't know that?
I do. I'm confused about the excited part.
You gotta be. Come on. Come on, man. Don't do that. Because you know. So let me ask you before we move on. What we're gonna do is we'll do news, and of course with Syracuse Mike, we'll come back on the back end and do some input. But I gotta ask you, Vi, are you excited a little bit, man, about the Falcons?
I am excited about football season, but I am not excited about watching the Falcons.
Okay, all right, good enough. Are you excited, or what do you think about? Because you said a little bit about the Deshaun Watson situation last week. Are you happy
It is what
with
it
the
is. I think
11 game?
They need to. I think that's enough. I mean,
Okay.
what they want from him. And like, I like the one thing I'm glad that Stephen A. told everybody. He can still be charged.
Yeah.
So y'all want him to admit the guilt when he can still be charged? Y'all crazy. He is not going to admit the guilt because he can still be charged. He was never charged. They decided not to file charges. If he get on TV and say, I admit that I'm wrong, I did this, they're going to put him in jail. So he
But let me-
cannot admit guilt.
Can I say something, Vi, in regards to that? Because he did the press conference this week, and he kept going on about, you know, his innocence.
He has to.
But honestly, I think he just needs to be quiet and say,
the
hey, I'm
only
here
way
to play
could-
football
The
now.
only way he's going to be quiet if they start
Yeah.
asking the question. He got the answer.
But you shake your head, Mike. What are your thoughts?
I think you're right. I think he needs to be quiet. I'm
He did.
the problem that happened this week, and I don't know a whole lot about sports and impact on the team and his career. But the reality is, you know, if you're going to say you're sorry for something, then it's hard to come back and then say that, you know, I'm innocent. And it would just be best just to say nothing, you know.
Yeah, I agree. Say, hey, I'm here to play football. I understand the question. You can speak with my attorney or my legal representation. They can explain a little bit more, but I'm here to play football, and just keep it moving. You know, and that's that.
That's what we're gonna have to start doing then.
He's going to have to. They're gonna always ask the
But one thing
question.
though, if they win, they forget all about this.
Yeah.
If they
Well,
Yeah.
he comes back. It's interesting that he comes back to play Houston
against
the first game. So that's definitely going to be interesting.
Yeah,
That's
the NFL ain't have bad there.
Oh yeah. Hey y'all, let's go ahead and do news with, of course, Syracuse Mike. and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it on the back end. Here we go.
News team, assemble!
It's time for the Week in News with Syracuse Mike.
The Superior Court of Fulton County decided for now it would not block Georgia's heartbeat law while legal challenges continue in the courts. Last month, abortion providers and advocates filed a lawsuit challenging the ban. The Monday court ruling means that it will continue to be illegal to have an abortion after 6 weeks of pregnancy in Georgia. Atlanta area prosecutors have told Rudy Giuliani that he is now a target of the investigation of former President Trump's attempt to overturn the 2020 election in our state. The former mayor of New York and one-time Trump lawyer has been slated to appear before the grand jury this week. It's not clear if that appearance will happen or if he'll just plead the fifth. Giuliani was among those behind the effort in several states to designate alternate presidential electors. Also Monday, a federal judge said Senator Lindsey Graham must testify before that special grand jury in Atlanta. Attorneys for Graham had argued that because he is a U.S. senator, he's immune from having to appear because he's protected from being questioned for matters related to his official duties. Investigators plan to ask Graham about 2 phone calls with Georgia election officials, but Graham says he'll appeal Monday's ruling. Following the search of Donald Trump's Florida estate, the Department of Homeland Security is warning law enforcement and government officials about increased threats against them and their families, as AURN's Ebony McMorris explains.
Families also need to be vigilant because some of the names of the officials who performed the search were leaked online. Now, they don't know where the leak came from, but congressional officials are sounding off. Senator Amy Klobuchar.
The Republican Party used to stand with law enforcement, and I hope some of them do today, because this kind of rhetoric is very dangerous to our country.
For AURN News, I'm Ebony McMorris.
He said they would do this to her.
The people of Wyoming are going to tell her, Liz, you're fired.
And last night, voters in Wyoming replaced Liz Cheney as the Republican nominee for the state's only seat in the U.S. House of Representatives. Cheney was expected to lose after polls showed voters in the very red state were unhappy with her decision to impeach former President Trump. 10 House Republicans did that. 3 others have already lost their primaries, 4 decided not to run again, and 2 won their contest. The testimony that we thought happened between the Fulton County Special Grand Jury and Governor Brian Kemp weeks ago apparently didn't happen. And Wednesday, Kemp filed a motion to kill an August 4th subpoena issued to him to force his appearance. The grand jury is investigating efforts by President Trump and others to overturn the 2020 election in Georgia. Kemp believes that the Fulton DA's office is playing politics, and his office says he wants to come in after the upcoming November election. We should mention there's no reason to believe that Kemp is a target of the investigation. We also don't know what was discussed when Rudy Giuliani appeared for 6 hours before the grand jury Wednesday. Giuliani was Trump's personal attorney in 2020 and helped spread false statements about the election. You may remember it was Giuliani who said this about 2 black Georgia elections workers.
Of Ruby Freeman and Shay Freeman Morris and one other gentleman, quite obviously surreptitiously passing around USB ports as if they're vials of heroin or cocaine.
Giuliani's attorneys would not say whether he pleaded the fifth to avoid self-incrimination or if he said anything else. The CDC is going through an overhaul, pointing out that they failed to meet the moment in reference to the arrival of COVID-19. A 4th Louisville police officer has been fired in connection to the killing of Breonna Taylor. Sergeant Kyle Meany, who had been with the department since 2013, was terminated after meeting with Chief Erica Shields, who, by the way, once led the Atlanta Police Department. Meany's termination comes 2 weeks after he and 3 other former officers were indicted by a federal grand jury on various charges. Apple says there are serious security issues with iPhones, iPads, and Macs that could allow hackers to take control of the devices. Apple has released security updates for affected devices, and you should update them now. Services like Netflix, Prime, and Disney Plus have reached a milestone. July marked the first time ever that Americans watched more streaming services than cable.
Again, thank you so much, Syracuse Mike, every week for giving us the headlines. We really appreciate it. And I cannot tell you how many compliments we get from folks who appreciate the recap every single week. So thank you for being thorough. We know it ain't easy because you were sweating last week.
and thank you to your listeners too, because I
appreciate that.
It's really nice to know that it serves some purpose. So thank you, I appreciate it.
Oh, come on. There we go again. Please,
Okay,
please, making for Scythe. Please. Hey, real quick, y'all. Just as we came on, we tape on Sundays, and as we came on to tape today, apparently Dennis Rodman has mentioned that he is interested in going to Russia to bring back Brittany Griner. Which, what do you say? Except hopefully it's a prisoner swap and he stays, or and she comes back, or what? I just wanted to mention that because of course it didn't meet our deadline, but as we taped today, that came up. Another thing that came up as part of the deadline, apparently the situation with Lindsey Graham is now on hold, whereas he was forced to testify with the Fulton County grand jury. Now they've actually put that on pause. So I guess he asked for an appeal, and they're going to give it to him. I don't know if that's for time to prep or, any thoughts on that, Harold Michael Harvey, in regards to Lindsey Graham?
What is he afraid of?
Well, Harold Michael Harvey, what do you think? What's his exposure?
It's the process. I mean, the courts basically sent it back down to the trial court to say he's claiming some type of senatorial privilege against testimony, and we need you on the trial court level to make some parameters to discover what is it he should or should not be required to testify about. So I'm not so certain that this Willis will not get to ask Lindsey Graham all the questions you want to ask him sometimes in the near future. But it may be that the Supreme Court will limit the areas that she can question him about. So, okay. It's sort of like a basketball going up and down, but I believe eventually he'll be required to testify. And what this most recent decision says is that trial court here required Graham to come in to say why, what he should not be allowed to testify about, and then court makes some determination whether you believe he should be required to testify about those things, and when it comes back up to us, we'll decide it. So that case is going to make its way back up to the court system after the lower court gets through making its assessment of what he can and not testify about.
Okay, good stuff. One other thing I want to mention. No, that answers it. That definitely. We'll see what happens. One other thing that came up, and again, this came up beyond the deadline that we typically get for our newscast, but late Friday, and I want to thank Karen Renee, City Councilwoman for East Point, and she's also VP for the NAACP. She sent this over to me. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that the election of Georgia's Public Service Commission cannot happen. At issue is a lower court ruling that statewide the election actually discriminates against Black voters. And one of the things I wanted to ask you, Mr. Harvey, because one of the things I always stress when it comes down to supporting Biden is that as Black voters, there were two things that we really wanted out of the 2020 election. One was voting rights, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, and also the George Floyd Act. Do you think that situations like this could further build the case for election laws being passed through the House and Senate? Do you think this helps?
I think it helps. I mean, here we have the court on the federal level has looked at the at-large candidacy of candidates for the Public Service Commission. I remember when I was coming out of college in the early 1970s, there was a young African American from the Atlanta area had come down to Macon, where I lived, campaign commission. First time I ever campaigned for the Public Service Commission, and of course, he got swamped. Because it's very difficult. I think there's only been one African American who was a nun judicial candidate to win a
Yeah, I mean,
statewide office.
the only time that there has been someone black on the commission is an appointment. No black has ever
Right.
won. And the reason being,
black has ever won
statewide, yes, statewide,
Right.
it gets watered down. Yeah, go ahead.
And so what the lawsuit essentially wants to do is to enact district district voting lines for the election of the members of the Public Service Commission. And of course, obviously you could probably carve out several districts throughout the state of Georgia where you could get black representation, elected at least black representations on the commission. And now the only other time that a black person has won who was not a judge, the members on the African Americans on the Georgia Court of Appeals and the Georgia Supreme Court, they typically win. But Thurman Baker, as Attorney General in the 1990s, early 1990s.
Michael Thurman as well.
Michael Thurman, excuse me, you're correct, with the Labor Department. Is that Labor Department?
Right, yeah, Labor Commissioner.
I think he was the Commissioner of the Labor Department. It has only happened twice. And both of those young men came out of the state legislature.
Good deal. Well, I wanted to mention that, and again, thank you, Karen Renee. She's VP of the NAACP, and I got to say hats off to Richard Rose at the Atlanta NAACP. Black Voters Matter, their fund, Wanda Mosley and let's see here, James Woodall, who was former Georgia NAACP president. Those folks actually pushed for this to be upheld, and to actually be frozen for further, for the courts to look into it further. So I applaud them for doing so. One other thing, and a couple of reasons why I brought you in. I wanted to get, and Mike, Vi, y'all can jump in as well, kind of a point in time check-in on everything that's happening. One of the things, Liz Cheney got slammed this week. It wasn't even close. I didn't expect it. I don't think anybody expected it to be close. But let me ask you, and I'll start with you, Harold Michael Harvey, go to you, Mike, and then Vi. Does this considering what she's doing, she's starting to build a nationwide organization with the possibility of running in 2024. Do you think that has any impact if she does possibly go as an independent on Biden and the possibility of him being reelected? Do you think that has impact?
Yeah, every vote she gets is a vote that would not have gone to Donald Trump. And every vote that doesn't go get that vote. So if you had Liz Cheney in the race and she picked off Republican voters who would hold their nose and vote for Joe Biden because they understand what the specter of another term from Donald Trump would be, Biden would get those. So I think an independent run from Liz would obviously hurt Joe Biden.
Okay, you think? Okay, what about you, Mike? Yeah, your thoughts, Mike?
I kind of think that an independent run from her would probably hurt both of them a little bit, but I think it would hurt Trump a little bit more, only because you got a bunch of Trump voters who have voted for him in the past that didn't want to vote for him and don't want to vote for Biden. So it gives them another candidate, but this is going to be a close election.
Yeah.
That's part of the problem. Yeah. And right now, I kind of lean toward a Cheney run helping Biden slightly, because Mr. Harvey's right. They're she's going to pull votes on both sides, possibly.
Yeah. What about you, Vi? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I don't really know about that. I just know I know she can't win. Because the people in her own city kicked her out, all because she went against Trump, which is terrifying to me, and it should be terrifying to any Republican, because that's make a Republican think if I go against Trump, I might lose my job. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I said, she might pull a vote from what I think, but it might hurt Biden more because people who ain't gonna vote for Trump ain't gonna vote for Trump.
Yeah.
She might pull some of Biden people.
My only concern about Liz Cheney is that the independents that are tired of holding their nose and voting for Trump, the ones who may have considered voting for Biden with another option, might go to Cheney. But we'll see how that works out and whether or not she even does it at all. One other question too regarding the midterms.
If she want to help,
go ahead.
Do not run and just.
Makes sense to me, but
dang, because you ain't gonna win.
Well, she has not declared, but everybody's talking about the possibility. One of the things I want to talk about is the 2022 midterm. I'll start with you, Mike. How do you think at this point, considering everything, because I will tell you, a few months ago, it was dismal, in terms of the Democrats. But when you take a look at gas prices falling, we still got an issue with definitely household goods and grocery prices. But a lot of things have shifted to the point where I just saw a poll where there's a poll that says Republicans are only ahead by 2 percentage points, 68 to 62. Do you think it's shifted to a point where the midterms could favor the Democrats?
Only on the Senate side. I think the House is going to go to the Republicans. The Senate races are an entirely different ball game. I think Mitch McConnell said it best. Will matter, and in Georgia and in Pennsylvania, you've got two candidates on the Republican side that. And I'm talking about Herschel Walker and Dr. Oz. And so,
dude, hey, flawed is not even the word.
But so,
is there a worse word than flawed?
What is he running?
The House is so.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
But the House is so. The House is so. Now, all across the country, I don't see how lose it this time around, but the Senate, I wouldn't be surprised if the Senate stays in Democrats' hands.
And Mitch McConnell even came out this week, and said he's looking at the numbers and he's concerned about the quality of the candidates. You mentioned, Herschel. You mentioned,
Candidate quality matters.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So true. What about you, Mr. Harvey? Midterms thoughts?
I agree with Mr. Rob. I believe the Democrats will hold the Senate and maybe even widen the margin where they could probably pass something without a filibuster. I think the House is going to be close. I don't think the Republicans have a lock on it, and the reason I believe that they do not have a lock at this point is because of the work that the Democrats were able to those this legislative package, the environmental package that they got through this past week or last week, it's going to impact the lives of people. Gas prices are now down. I think I paid about $3.24 at the pump this morning, filling up to go run down to Macon. I'm not spending as much money on other items that I have to purchase, and I think that within a couple more weeks, by Labor Day, more Americans will feel the impact of this legislative package that the Democrats and President Biden have been able to put forth. And I think the question is going to be, do we want to continue this? Do we want to give the Democrats an opportunity in the last 2 years to have both houses of Congress and get more things done, or do we want a divided government where there's a stalemate where one party controls the House and the other party controls the Senate? And that's the question for independent voters. Question for moderate Republicans.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Do they want to give? Do they want to give what hasn't been done in a while? Complete power to the Democratic parties in both houses of Congress? Do they want a split government? And what we've seen now in the last 6 years, we've seen a country unable to get anything done until last week because the Congress had been divided. And
Yeah.
of course, this year, when you had the Democrats in control of both houses, you had two transient Democrats who just said no to every proposal
Manchin
that
and Sinema.
Democrat leadership came up with. Yeah, that's so true. But so that's I kind of see that it's going to come down to independent and moderate Republican voters. They have to determine whether or not they want to throw the chips in and roll the dice in favor of the Democrats being able out of this pandemic bind that we've been in. Or do they want further stalemate?
Okay, one more thing, in under a minute. Just give me your thoughts on this one. How do you feel at this point about what's going to happen to Trump? And I'll start with you, Vi. What do you think in less than a minute, just real quick? What do you think is going to happen to Trump?
I think he's going to get charged, but he's not going to jail.
Okay, Mike.
I don't think anything's going to happen to him until after the midterms.
Okay. What about you, Harold Michael Harvey?
You can stick a fork in him.
I saw your reprint of your article. Yeah, stick a fork in.
Some time ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think eventually, the Trump model it's not sustainable in American democracy. And at some point in time, the wheels of justice and democracy is just going to grind him down. He will pay.
Yeah, I agree.
That's
Y'all give it
an unsustainable model.
good. I'm going to give it up one more time. Harold Michael Harvey. The website is haroldmichaelharvey.com. Definitely check him out. He's got a ton of information. He's keeping us up to date with what's going on with the midterms in terms of January 6th. Just a lot of really good information. And thank you for coming on last minute, Harold Michael Harvey. Again, thank you, man, so much. Don't forget all the sports stuff he does too. He is a baseball wizard, y'all. So if you are into baseball, Negro League baseball, definitely explore his site and pick his brain. I know he's doing some speaking tours around the state, and definitely I'm looking forward to catching one of those as well. Thank you so much. Again, Harold Michael Harvey, haroldmichaelharvey.com. Let's do this, y'all. We're going to take a quick break. Mike and Vi will come back, and Tanya B's off this week, so I'm going to do my best. So that's all I can do. With the tea, but I'm coming back. We'll come back and we'll do the tea with me, and we'll come right back. Thank you again, Harold Michael Harvey.
Take care, guys. Good to
All
meet
right.
you.
All right, y'all, we're back. But hey, Mike, I got to do this for you, man, before we do tea. As you know, back in the day.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I can't do that now, though, man. YouTube will be all over me. So.
I'm sure, and I'm surprised. I'm surprised they weren't all over us at one point.
I know. We use that to the hill every year, every morning back in the day. All right, y'all, but let's do it. Here we go.
Now then, children, it's time for tea.
It's tea time, y'all. Sipping the tea with Tanya B.
All right, y'all. Tanya B's off this week, but I got to do this. In this story, I didn't mention this in the tea. I actually didn't write it in the tea, but I got to just mention this. And podcast audience, you can go to the website and look at our people poll. You can leave your comments or hit us up on social media. Kenya Barris, the guy who did Blackish for so many years, of course, he's the creator of Blackish and several other TV shows and some Netflix content as well, has been given the rights to direct another version of the Wizard of Oz. Now, now I'm not, I'm not looking at the color, because what it's supposed to be, Frank Baum did the original novel, the book, and the original movie's based on that. So apparently he's been given the opportunity to direct and I guess executive produce the project. Now, a whole lot of, when this came out this week, Twitter was on fire, because people felt that he's never really done anything like this. So I'd be curious to hear what the audience has to say. And I know I'm not trying to take any opportunity or hate on any creative, but that just, I don't see any of his projects that even come close to something like The Wizard of Oz. So, I just wanted to mention that before we get started. Any thoughts on that, y'all? I mean, I just,
give him a chance. Give him a chance.
Even Blackish started to kind of grind on my nerves toward the end. So I'm just like, dude, you really? I mean, he's a Clark AU guy, Atlanta guy. I'm hoping the best. I'm gonna give him a chance, dog. But so many people grew up on The Wizard of Oz. It ain't The Wiz. I'm not saying he's doing The Wiz. I'm talking about The Wizard of Oz. And it's going to be interesting to see what his vision is for this. Because why would you even want that pressure to do something like The Wizard of Oz? But
make history.
I would. Any thoughts, Mike? You grew up on The Wizard of Oz, man.
Yeah, I did, and I mean, I don't know what you do except hire a bunch of contemporary artists to do the songs that we all love from that. I don't know what you do without it turning into The Wiz.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That would be, I just don't know what you do with it.
Because as soon as you get a Black Dorothy, it's The Wiz. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, exactly.
So I'm just saying. And the other thing, and I'll mention this and I'll get off of it, Wicked, which was on Broadway, is actually Wicked is coming out as a movie. Ariana Grande and I forgot the British actress's name, Cynthia Erivo. They're supposed to, if you know the story, it's about the Wicked Witch, the Good Witch, and the Bad Witch. So it'll be interesting with all that out there that he's diving into this. So I just wanted to mention that and get some thoughts. But heading on into the tea, thank you again. Tanya B's out this week. Showtime, and I got to give it up to the Chi, man. Lena Waithe has done such a phenomenal job. It has been renewed for season 6. And that's really a big deal because 6 seasons, the Jeffersons holds the record for the most seasons. But this puts, beyond that 5-season mark, it goes, syndication is possible. So this is a big deal for the Chi. And according to Variety, the show was increasing. The streaming was up like 20% year over year. It is on a high. A lot of folks are talking about it on social media. It is it is one of the top Black shows. So I got to say kudos to the folks over at the Chi, Lena Waithe and her team. They've done a phenomenal job. And also, they're on hiatus this week, so I won't be giving you your Chi update. But they'll return on August 26th, and there are only 2 episodes left in this season, in season 5. So kudos again to the folks at the Chi, and that's just a big deal.
Well,
6 seasons for a Black series.
And it's also incredible for a streaming series as well, because Netflix will give you 3 seasons at most, and then unless you're The Crown, forget it. So it's impressive. Hats off to her.
Yep, big time. And on another note, Will Smith, a lot of folks, Will came out a couple of weeks ago with a new apology. And Mike, you and I met Will. So I really want to hear your feedback. You worked with Will as a program director, morning show, and, early in Will's career. I want to get your take on this. But Will's popularity ranking, they call it the Q score, has what they say plummeted from 39 at one point a high to now 24, most recently in July. And they characterize this as a very significant decline. And that's from the folks who actually do the Q score methodology. But get this, y'all, Jada's Q score is only 13. All right. And her Q score went from 13 to 6. and her negatives have gone from 29 to 44. And that's huge that, that she's getting all the negativity. And Will's rating was only 8, and now it's 26. Chris Rock went unscathed. And just kind of give you an idea, because I'm throwing out all these numbers, the Q scores. Morgan Freeman, y'all want to guess Morgan Freeman's Q score? Just a guess. I know that's
what is
Morgan Freeman's Q score. It is 44. Morgan Freeman's at 44. Tom Hanks is at 43. Samuel Jackson's at 37. Keanu Reeves is at 37. Dwayne The Rock Johnson's at 36, and Ryan Reynolds is at 36. So Will's at 24 right now. So you can see how he's fallen, compared to some of the other folks. So we'll watch that and we'll see, because one of the big things right now is Apple has a pending Emancipation. Is an Apple movie that's been shelved, and it was supposed to come out this Christmas. Antoine Fuqua is the director, so a lot of folks are curious as to whether or not Apple's going to hang their hat on the Will Smith brand and continue. So it'll be interesting with his Q score dropping that low. Okay.
Yeah, it's going to take
Twitter
some
and
time.
social. Yeah, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's
Yeah.
going to take some time.
Yeah.
For the right things that he's got to do right now to try to help move himself back in. I'm not surprised that Jada's score is so low, because she's being blamed, for lack of a better term, for what he did. But he actually did what he did, and he has to own it. And he is. And I think in time, this is a forgiving country, and at some point, I think he'll be okay. But it's going to take a lot. It's going to probably take longer than I thought it was going to take.
Yeah, I agree. Twitter and social media is on fire. A lot of folks are pissed off with Warner Discovery and the new CEO, because HBO Max has deleted like 20 HBO original series, and a lot of this stuff is kids and family series that a lot of kids have been attached to. It includes some of the Sesame Street library, and now HBO Max is saying it's eliminating the series to cut cost, and they're putting forth a new strategy with the merger. And actually, as we reported a few weeks ago, the goal is to do away with HBO Max and put all the HBO content under Discovery Plus. Now, we'll see how that works. A lot of folks are pissed off also with some of the changes at CNN. They're saying, as a matter of fact, this week, they've been negotiating with the GOP to bring in more Republican pundits to make it more balanced. So you've got the hashtag Fox News Junior for CNN floating around on Twitter. So we'll see how CNN fares. And a lot of folks are leaving, and there's a rumor out that Don Lemon may be next. So we'll see what happens. Also, congrats to Solange Knowles. Got to give it up to her. The R&B singer-songwriter announced Tuesday she is composing an original piece for the New York City Ballet. She's only the third woman and just the second Black woman to have a score commissioned by the ballet. Knowles said the piece will accompany choreography by, and I hope I say her name right, Gianna Reason, who at 18 became the youngest person ever to choreograph the ballet in 2017. That's according to Playbill. So congrats to Solange Knowles, Beyonce's sister. And this is interesting. Mike, you watch Versus. Have you watched any of the Versus over the pandemic?
Believe it or not, no.
I
should have warned you. Believe it.
Well, that's okay.
I hear a lot about them.
That's okay.
I hear a lot about them.
You hear a lot.
I heard about the Con and all that. I hear about them, but I've never watched a single one. I'm not the guy that sits in front of his computer and watches anything. I'm sorry.
Some are not worthy. Trust me. They, especially, I'm not going to mention the Ray J. I'm going to leave Ray J alone. But Swiss Beats and Timberland, who actually originated this, are apparently they've been suing. They have a lawsuit against Triller, which is the company who bought it. And Triller came out to TMZ, and I'm going to read this quote. This is not a feud over Versus, but simply an earn out payments to Swizz and Tim. Swizz and Tim have personally been paid by Triller over $50 million in cash and stock to date, and they stand to benefit even more over time. In addition, they have annual obligations which have met. No breach of content has occurred, entitles them to additional payments. They continue on by saying only one payment of $10 million is in question. We do not believe that they have the thresholds for that payment yet, or they have met those thresholds, which include but are not limited to delivery of a set of Versus events in 2022. We have been trying to resolve this, and this does not affect Versus operations or Triller's operation of Versus. According to the lawsuit, which was obtained by TMZ, Swizz and Timbaland agreed to sell Versus back in January 2021, but they said Triller defaulted on the deal. After only 2 payments, the music moguls are going after Triller for about $28 million. Y'all, let me explain this. I'm gonna break it down. I know that's been a lot of legalese, and you hung with me through that. But let me say this. When the pandemic slowed down, the whole Triller concept, the whole Versus concept slowed down. So when they jumped on at the end of it. You know, and quite frankly, you know, they're never going to get the audience that they got at the peak of the pandemic. Agreed? You know, the whole concept, nobody's online watching the Versus the way they did when they could go nowhere. Right. Now people are out, you know, the genie's out the bottle. You know, so
yeah, we got choices again.
Right. So in my opinion, it was just a bad business move on Triller's part. They made a bad investment. You came in on the stock at the wrong time, in my opinion. That's just, you know, but you know, in good faith, Swizz and Timbaland sold it to them in good faith. But you know, even with Swizz and Timbaland right now trying to get more content in 2022, it's gonna be tough. When you gotta go to Ray J. I'm sorry, I said it anyway. But you know, when you gotta, you know, a lot of the entertainers that they're bringing, nobody really wants to see. They've done it.
They did say Diddy and what's the name? What?
Who, Mike? You want to see Diddy?
No.
I'm just saying. I mean, Diddy's a great producer, but entertainer he's not. So it'll be interesting to see. But we'll keep y'all posted. But again, I mean, the best way for me to put this is they just came in at the wrong time. If they had come in and bought Versus at the beginning when it was hot, they could have gotten their money and everybody would have been happy. I just don't see them making the kind of money from this thing that was made when it was hot. I just don't see that. So we'll see. All right. Actor Gary Busey has been charged with sexual offenses at a New Jersey fan convention this month. Busey, who is 78, and you remember Busey some years ago was in that motorcycle accident where he had permanent brain damage. I mean, he was out of it for a long time. He's never been right. But he was charged Friday with 2 counts of 4th-degree criminal sexual contact, 1 count of attempted criminal sexual contact, and 1 count of harassment. And the charges stem from offenses at the annual Monster Mania convention at the DoubleTree Hotel on August 12th, 14 Cherry Hill. That is actually a Philadelphia suburb. And you know, I don't mean this, and I don't mean this against the victims or anybody involved in this, but what was a 78-year-old man going to do? I mean, he probably was feeling people up, because he was there to sign autographs. You know how it is, you know, like a lot of these fan conventions where you meet and greet people. The guy, he was having mental issues during the whole rehab series that was on, the reality series. He's always had these mental issues, and I don't know why you would put Gary Busey in the middle of fans, probably unsupervised, just on his own, because unfortunately these kind of things happen. I hate to hear it, but I you know, at a 78-year-old man, sexual assault charges, it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to hear what he did at 78.
Yeah, I don't know what he did, and I've been curious about that. I hate to say that, but I've been a little curious about it. I do know the organizers asked him to leave immediately after they found out. But
it had to be him filling up some women.
Yeah. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, and rest in peace, rest in power, Anne Heche. A lot of folks probably don't know the name, but if you saw the movie John Q, she was the administrator who had to give the bad news to Denzel Washington about his son, the white actress. So if you know brothers and sisters who's like, who is Anne Heche? But she's died at 53. She was also partnered back in the day with Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah,
She's
which
gone through-
is where I think most people know her from.
Yeah, when she was partnered with Ellen, but she died of inhalation injuries, burns, fiery crash, and it was ruled an accident. Eventually, the coroner's office dropped that this week. She was 53. A couple of things, what I'm watching this week. Of course, the Chi, no Chi update this week. The Chi is on hiatus. But one of the things that surprised me, and y'all, Mike, you know me from back in the day. You know how I am about the comic book stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't even have to explain to you. But Vi, you're kind of a fan, fantasy comic book stuff. The Sandman on Netflix. I jumped into it because of the hype, and it's such a good looking, the graphics, the promos, everything that comes along with it. So I said, let me check this out. First couple of episodes were slow, but I will tell you, it's probably one of the better Netflix series I've seen. You got to be kind of into that world. I mean, I could never really, I still can't really get into the Harry Potter stuff. It's not as deep as Harry Potter, because Harry Potter, you got to know all, there's too much you have to know when you watch Harry Potter. But with this, I was really, definitely I was impressed with it. But one of the things that impressed me the most was the diversity, the Black people. You've got there's so much representation in the Sandman. That's what surprised me. And for a lot of folks who were with the original, because this thing has been out since the 90s, since early, I think before the 90s, it has a loyal fan base. They've been trying to get it made since the 90s, and finally it got made. But the graphic novel, 70 million viewers in the first week. That is, probably one of the top Netflix series. So I give it up to them. And it's really incredible. The 10-day debut, 70 million. So you got to give them their props. I had a chance to check it out, and I give it, my rating, I give it a solid B. I think wow. If you, there's a lot of stuff to watch. Again, most of my friends who watch it say I had to get through the first couple of episodes. But after you get past the first couple of episodes, it kind of pulls you in. The other thing is this week, which you don't see very often, after a series is over, they dropped a bonus episode. So you're thinking, okay, season one's done, I'm gonna have to wait another year. They drop a bonus episode. So I got to give them kudos to them for really doing some good work. And there's so much stuff out there to watch.
It's in Netflix's top 10. I know it's in Netflix's top 10, and as a matter of fact, yesterday, which is why I watched the promo last night just to check it out. But I admitted, guys,
I'm not a fantasy person.
I'm not it. What did you think of it, Vi? I'm curious.
I watched it just when I thought it would be like the comic book Sandman on DC, but it's not. It's something that, it's so like I don't know. It's totally it's sci-fi for sure.
Yeah. But, how many episodes did you watch, Vi?
I watched all of them.
Oh, you watched all of it? Okay.
Mm-hmm. I watched all.
Well, see, I didn't know. I didn't watch. I wasn't a Sandman comic book reader.
It ain't got anything to do with the comic book.
And that's where maybe some of the loyalists don't see it. They don't see it.
It don't have anything to do with it. That's just a whole new series they developed.
Yeah, I liked it. I give it a B. And another thing, Abbott Elementary returns on September 21st. And the promos are out for that.
Yeah,
so
I love that show.
Yeah, it is.
It's a great show. It is one of the best shows on television.
Yeah, I love that show.
So if y'all waiting for it, you're looking for it, it definitely comes out on September 21st, and we'll keep you posted on that. Again, Mike, thank you so much, man, for being on. One more thing I want to get into.
Sure.
And I picked this for the hot topic end of the show. We're big music people here. Mike, my career, has been music. Your career has been music. And you go back to hip hop. You go back to original hip hop. When you started your career in Syracuse, after you left, you were doing top 40. You went Syracuse, you were in Cincinnati, or you were in Ohio for a while, correct?
Right.
Okay. But you started really doing hip hop Am I correct? Like the early parts, early phase of hip hop in when you came to
Well,
Atlanta
I mean, you know,
as well?
it's interesting because I remember playing the Sugar Hill Gang when we were trying to transition from disco to hip hop, and
Yeah.
those days, you know, Curtis Blow and all that stuff, and of course, you know, ran a hip hop station in Macon for several years. A lot has changed.
Yeah, a lot has changed. And one of the things, again, you know, Mike is a Hall of Famer, you know, broadcast Hall of Famer, station owner. You mentioned he owned a hip hop station in Macon, Georgia for a while. He was at V103 where he was program director for a period, and actually was instrumental in putting on, if y'all remember, the Fresh Party. Tony T and Darren Fears, you know, the
Well,
Fresh Party
I
was a
inherited
big,
I inherited the Fresh Party in
you
all
inherited
fairness.
yeah, you did, but you kept it going. You kept it going.
Yeah.
You know, successful morning guy, again, top tier programmer. He knows his music. I'm gonna say it like that. I know when I say, Mike, we got to talk about R&B. He says, well, you know, I kind of, the station he does now is classic soul and
Right.
Southern soul and gospel. So he's more into that world. But there's you guys, you know, probably are talking about it. Diddy made a comment on social media about R&B being dead. And I wanted to just kind of have a discussion about this only because I don't know if Diddy's the guy to, he can make the statement, anybody can make the statement. I'm just not sure if he is the person who can, you know, give the eulogy for R&B, you know, at this point. And I was glad to see when he made the comment, and it's about an hour, it's an interview where he brings in Mary J. Blige and some other artists. And I'm really glad that Mary J. Blige said what she said. You know, she said, it's not gone, it's just different. You know, R&B is different. So, you know, I want to pose that question, you know, to Mike, and I've got my thoughts about why R&B is probably in the state that it's in, and I'll say that after you guys. But first of all, you know, Mike, what are your thoughts on that statement? Why are people continuing to say that R&B is dead?
Because it's so much, and you don't hear people doing the traditional Anita Baker or, you know, the ballads that people, you know, remember, you know, the Luther sound and the Freddie Jackson. But the reality is music changes, and just, you know, you've got neo soul now, which we didn't have back in the day. So
Yeah.
you know, it's if you know, I just feel like I try not to do did when we were into certain music that they weren't into. You know?
Yeah.
And so
Old
I
man
try
on
not
the
to be
porch.
critical of it. Yeah, I try not to be critical of what's going on in music today. And I'll just say it's different, you know, and just leave it at that.
Yeah. Vi, what are your thoughts?
Well, not Diddy. I mean, it's different. Just like when we were growing up, our music is much different than what my parents do. My parents listen to.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't really seen anything that I'm really can get into right now, but I just think it's just different.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let me say this, and one of the statements that came out of his conversation was, and he was asking the question, who killed R&B, and I want to frame this because, you know, you and I, Mike, worked together, and I did music, you know, with you, for you, at the same time we worked together. You know, my time in Atlanta was up into the mid '90s. And one of the things that I think the consumer probably doesn't understand, outside of maybe understanding that Steve Jobs invented the iPod and everything changed. But even before that, there was a thing called BDS, Broadcast Data System, BDS, and there was another thing called SoundScan. Now, I'm not going to get inside baseball and start talking industry, but I think it's important to understand that in 1992, something big happened, and that was it. And what it did was, for so many years, Mike, and you'll know what I'm about to say, you'll understand, for so many years, the charts were really, could be changed. They could be affected and manipulated by promotion. Manipulated by promotion. for so many years. And what happened was, if you look at the pop Hot 100, there were a lot of records that should have been in the Hot 100. For example, when you look at, you know, some of the early hip hop, some of the earlier R&B that never made it to the top because people kept it from getting to the top. But in 1992, the technology changed, and it took that whole manipulation process out to where it was all technology. And when you did that, and y'all can go back and look at from 1992 how the charts got black. I mean, even from a standpoint, when you listen to pop stations, you heard TLC, you heard Boyz II Men, you started to hear more hip hop on pop radio, but that didn't happen until around 92. But also what happened, you know, when you look at the R&B charts, you look at, you know, just R&B pure, a lot of hip hop started, whereas hip hop was, and you know, hip hop was regulated to nights and weekends. It didn't get mainstream play. But when these charts started showing and the pop stations started playing more hip hop started to get pulled out of the darkness into the light, and hip hop took over. So, and then, you know, here comes the iPod. Then it was really over. You know what I'm saying? Napster, you know, so, you know, it's been a, I guess, long-term erosion from the days, Mike, you mentioned when we played Sade, Luther, Anita, to, you know, the charts, the music got hotter and it hasn't changed. So, you know, I think, you know, I think if you look at what needs to happen, and this is something I'll ask y'all as well, I do believe that R&B, when it comes down to the quality of R&B, and Sean Stockman from Boyz II Men made a comment about the infamous Ray J verses. I keep going to Ray J, but it was more than just Ray J. But he was telling guys, hey, you got to do better. You got to bring, you know, you got, your vocals need to be better. You need to bring it. And a lot of these cats who have kind of ridden on the backs, unfortunately, of hip hop, who aren't real vocalists, you know, people who can really, really sing. The people who can really, really sing need to come back, and they need to collaborate with rap so that they can basically raise the level of quality. I think it's a quality issue more so than it's a depth issue. You know, it's just the quality people don't get the exposure. You know, the ones with the most hype, the ones with the most money, and the ones who are more hip hop focused are the ones who get, the ones who are more hip hop leaning, hip hop tinged. Those are the R&B artists who get more exposure versus the ones who can really sing. I look at like Jasmine Sullivan. You know, Jasmine Sullivan is an excellent singer. She's great.
Very much so. She really is. She's very good.
She's one of the, she's a singer. I mean, Fantasia, a lot of these artists, but there just aren't, in my opinion, there aren't enough of them. And even when it comes down to male vocalists, I just don't, there's nobody like a Luther or a Prince, those cats who could go into a studio and command the attention of America. And that's they don't have to sound like Luther and sound like Freddie, sound like Anita, but they need, in their own way, you need those kind of voices back. You got Frank Ocean, but damn, Frank comes out with an album when he wants to. It's like, it's been 6 years, come out with an album. It's just right now, it's unfortunate, a lot of really great vocalists are MIA. I don't know why. They got to get back out there. Go ahead, Vi.
Music. Everybody only thing the kids listen to is rap right now. Sometimes I can go to a radio station. That's why I don't want to listen to radio station no more, because they play rap music and that's it. I'm like, dude, this is, and I really don't. I guess keep trying to sound like the old man on the porch. I don't like today's rap music right now.
I mean, you got people like Bruno Mars.
But Bruno ain't rap. I like Bruno.
No. What I'm saying is Bruno and Anderson .Paak have.
And you can't afford to go to a Bruno concert.
Yeah.
No, you can't.
$500 a day.
Bruno in Vegas. $500.
That's in Vegas though.
Yes.
When he comes to town, it's $200.
$250 in Boston.
Wow.
Bruno, who you playing for?
But you understand my point, Mike. You understand. You understand what I'm saying. I mean, I think you got to have more Brunos. You got to have, without the price tag. You got to have vocalists.
But at the same time, but at the same time, I think Vi was making an interesting point. Is that where's the demand? If that's what young people want to hear is hip hop, then that's what the record industry is going to keep putting out. They're going to try to serve what people are buying, or what they're interested in, or what they're streaming, what they're watching on YouTube. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, so we can just,
you got to play what the people want.
That's what they want. That's what they want.
That's kind of where it is. Yeah.
But I think, and I'll leave it at this, and y'all can have the last word on it. But I will say, if R&B wants to stay alive, they're going to have to align themselves with what's hot, and not create a demand, but have something so hot that people will want. And I think Bruno does that. Yeah, I think Bruno.
I was going to say
the same thing. Bruno does that.
But Bruno Mars is an entertainer. He's not just a vocalist. I mean, the only reason I know about the ticket prices is I was trying to go to Vegas to see him. So I mean, if you give people what they want, they will gravitate toward it.
Yeah, I agree.
I looked at Bruno. I said, "Oh my God, Bruno!
Yeah,
Ursula, here I come."
Yeah, it's great. It's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, y'all, we'd love your feedback. I mean, honestly, and I'll post a link, the Vibe article, where Diddy talks about R&B being dead and what killed R&B. But love your thoughts. Go to castropolis.net. Look for the People poll. You can leave your comments. You can leave your feedback. You can hit us up on social media. We'd love to hear what you have to say. I got some last minute shout outs. I want to shout out some of the cities, and I'm just going to mention a few who really have supported us over the last 30 days. And I just got to say, first of all, let me give them this, because the loyalty has truly been there. Got to say thanks to my folks in McDonough, Columbus, Ohio this time, Vi. Can you believe it? Not Columbus, Georgia, but Columbus, Ohio, Atlanta, of course, Decatur, Stone Mountain, Macon, Boone, North Carolina, up in the mountains, Dorchester, Massachusetts, Council Bluffs, Iowa, Huntersville, North Carolina, Goshen, Indiana, Columbus, Georgia, Richardson, Texas, Midland, Georgia, Norwalk, California, Johannesburg, South Africa, Hudson, Wisconsin, San Antonio, Texas, Myrtle Beach. Let's see here, Detroit, Baltimore, Chicago, Beaufort, Georgia, Boca Raton, LA, Fontana, California, Phoenix, Hamburg, Germany, Cape Town, South Africa, Milton, West Virginia, Fort Worth, Texas, Powell, Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee, the Bronx, New York, Rochester, New York, Brooklyn, New York, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Brandon, Mississippi, Minneapolis, and Grand Rapids. Big thanks to y'all. Appreciate y'all, checking us out and just hanging with us, man. All of our frivolity and craziness. We definitely appreciate you, and thanks for the support. Any last minute comments, Mike? I'll leave the last minute. Your last comments?
No, not really. I am curious though. Why do you guys dislike Trevor Noah?
What's that?
I said, why do you guys dislike Trevor Noah?
Why do you say that? What did we say? What did we say?
When Trevor Noah. Go ahead. I want to know. I'm curious.
No.
I remember when you guys commented about the Grammys. You guys were like, you in particular, Thomas, why do they get Trevor Noah to host the Grammys? I watch Trevor Noah every week. I like Trevor Noah. That's why I'm saying that.
Here's the deal. I like Trevor Noah for what he brings to the Daily Show. Okay. But I think if you look at the numbers for what's going on with the Grammys have been dying. They've been suffering.
Oh, that's not his fault though.
No, it's not his fault, but he can't fix it. He's not the guy to fix it.
Okay.
I just don't. The reason I don't like him for the Grammys. I don't think he's the guy who can turn it around, who can stop the bleeding. And I don't think, and honestly, I don't think they're going to keep him.
Well, the one guy they could have got, they shot him down.
Who was that?
Kevin Hart.
Yeah. Well, Kevin Hart was going to do the Oscars.
The Oscars, okay.
Yeah. Not, but I do think if Kevin Hart decided to do the Grammys, then it would fix the Grammys. But I just don't see Trevor as the guy who can fix the Grammys. He's not that comedian.
Okay.
No.
He's not hot right now.
Yeah, that's why. And I don't see the numbers.
You would also agree that the Grammys
go
have
ahead.
bigger problems than just the host. I mean, it's
Oh,
there's
yeah.
a whole
I
lot
mean,
of
you
problems.
know,
Definitely, they got bigger problems.
It's just like we talk about the charts. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
the Academy Award, it's a snob. It's a snob's award. You know, it's not about the box office. It's not about the people.
It's not.
It's about the critics, and it's about, you know, the voters. It's about the Academy.
I've always been that way.
Same thing with the Grammys. It's not really about the people. You know, the people are tired of tuning in
They're telling
and
us
seeing the
they know
winners.
what good- They're telling us they know what good quality is and we don't. But we're
Yeah,
the one
that's
that
what I'm
paying to-
saying.
But we're the one that paying to see the movie.
I ain't watching that. I mean, so a lot of folks, you know, you got to keep in mind, and this is another thing. I mean, we're dealing with a consumer now who can, you know, they got the power in their hand. They got the power in that phone. You know what I'm saying? They could, you know, they could switch music with the touch of a button. They can switch their social media and their movies with the touch of a button. So it's a different day than what it was back in the 70s and 80s when they could truly tell us, you know, the Academy could tell
We
us.
ain't
So-
got to listen to them no more. We know
no,
what
we don't.
like.
I think people, you know, unless you're entertaining, Mike, then I don't think people will watch. And I think, again, I mean, I think, and Tanya
Yeah.
B agreed with me. I mean, to a certain extent, he's a little corny. And I think he's you know, to a certain
He's
extent.
from
I mean, he's dead on.
He's got a unique sense of humor.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it's unique to the Daily Show. And I
Yeah.
think he fits the
I
Daily
like
Show.
Trevor North too.
I like him for the Daily Show. I don't like him for the Emmys. Yeah, I don't
Well,
like him
that's
for
a fair point. That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
Yeah. Any you got any last minute comments, Vi, before we head up out of here? And we do the benediction.
Shout out to the people in Stockbridge. Hey, if you ever get a chance to go to their concert, they do a pretty good job of presenting concert. The Fantasia.
How was the crowd? How was the crowd, by the way?
They had a good crowd.
Good.
But I say this: if you want comfort, good seating, get your table.
Don't sit on that bench.
Don't sit on the bench. I did that last time. I told my girl, I said, I will never sit on the bench again.
Did they let you bring seat cushions like you go
You
into
can
a
bring
stadium?
seat cushions.
Okay, bring
You
your
can
seat
bring
cushion,
seat
bro.
cushions. You can. You won't. You just can't bring no drinks, no water, no nothing.
You better bring that seat cushion.
No, it's not that the cushion. It's not the seat bag.
Yeah,
It's like with all the stuff going on right now, you feel like it's like sardines in there.
Yeah.
So,
So true.
get you a table.
Yeah.
Get the money and pay for a table.
Yeah, you get your space too, right?
Table, you got the space because it's just you, whoever your 3 or 4 people at the table. That's it.
Yeah, so true.
So I told my girl, I said, I make enough money. I am not sitting with the communion no more. I'm at the table.
That's what I'm saying. No monkeypox for me.
That's what I'm saying. That's all you gotta do. All you gotta do is rub up against somebody.
No.
All you gotta do is rub up against somebody. Now.
That's what I'm saying.
I was kind of scared. I was like, man. Hope I ain't got
Hey,
that.
Vi. We're gonna send this clip to Stockbridge just for you. Hey, Conwell.
But they do great concert. They got some good concert coming up too.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, they got some good coming up. Charlie coming back.
Oh man, okay. All right,
Yeah,
Charlie.
man.
Just
But
don't
hey,
sit. Get a table.
I will be at the table.
Vi says get a table, y'all.
Get a table. Pay the money for the table. You won't regret it.
Absolutely. I got to say, happy birthday, and then we'll get to the benediction. Also to good friend Bryant Corbett. Thank you so much, Bryant, man, shouting me out this week. I said hello to him. He shot me back on Facebook. My first radio gig, man, Abbeville, Alabama, y'all.
You were to
Abbeville, yes, Alabama, Abbeville, Alabama. You remember Bryant?
I remember Bryant. I ran my
Good
first
buddy
military
Bryant.
school. I ran into Bryant in Dothan.
Yep,
He was
Dothan,
at the
Alabama.
club.
Yep. So Bryant
Got me in a
also,
lot of trouble.
of course. Don't talk about it. Also shout out to Fran, just a trooper, man. Fran of Faith, Family, and Fundamentals with Fran, one of our top podcast shows on Castropolis.net. Faithful and consistent. Happy birthday to her. I didn't get a chance to say happy birthday, Fran. Thank you so much. Yes. All right, y'all. Bro, you ready?
I am ready.
All right, here we go. Look at him getting his glasses and everything.
Prayer is a two-way conversation. It is our talking to God and His talking to us. As a Christian, you have a Heavenly Father who has ears and answer prayers. Jesus says, all things whatsoever you shall ask in prayer, believe you shall receive. You cannot afford to be too busy to pray. A prayerless Christian is a powerless Christian. Jesus Christ spent many hours in prayer, sometimes spent the night on the mountaintop in solitary communion with the God the Father. If he felt that he had to pray, how much more do we need to pray? Matthew chapter 21, verse 22. In all things whatsoever you shall ask in prayer, believe you shall receive. Please, people, pray. Like the guy said, if Jesus prayed, who do you think you are? He's the Son of God. He had to pray to him. So pray. Talk to him. Ask him. You might not get everything you need, but he would give you everything you should have. He always take care of you. Amen. Amen.
Amen, Vi. Thank you so much, man. Yes.
Amen.
All right. Amen, Vi. And with that, y'all, I do have to ask you one thing, Vi. Can Mariah Carey really be the Queen of Christmas? That's all I got to say. We got to talk about it this week.
Dude,
we ain't got to talk it. Don't talk about it. I'm just curious.
You're right. You ain't got enough time for me to answer that question.
I know you had to say something, dog. Well, she's trying to copyright the Queen of Christmas. I said, you asked Jesus about that, girl?
Ask Jesus.
But anyway,
copyright the Queen of Christmas.
Queen of Christmas. Okay, here we go. All right, but again, Mike.
Have we claimed her yet as a sister?
I don't even know. Yes, we have. As a matter of fact, Nick Cannon has. So yeah.
Nick Cannon worth nothing. He got too many sisters. I need more than Nick Cannon.
Y'all give it up for the one and only Mike Roberts, Syracuse Mike. Thank you again, Mike.
Thank you
for being on the
I
show.
appreciate
it.
it.
I got to end this thing when I said it. I have to end the show when I said I would end it, or Mike will not come back. Again, thank you so much, Mike. Vi, thank you. Tanya B is. Thank you all for putting up with me with the tea. Tanya B is back next week. And with that, episode 142 is in the can. Power to the people and peace. We out of here.
Peace,
y'all have a great week.
All right now.
Bye.